This week Parashat is Parashat Toldot, and what we should relearn again and again is the conflict between Esav and Yaakov. So there is so much to say about it. I'll just make up the point or mention the major thing that we need to learn about, to discuss. First of all, it's very important for us as Jews to take always, to know, to remember what Hashem told Rivka by this very special pregnancy. We are the descendants of Yaakov. And before Yaakov and Esav was born, Hashem told their mother, Shnei goyim bevitnech u'shnei le'umim im'ayich yiparedu. You're going to be a mother of two people that are going to be, from them will come out two nations. And those two nations will be always in a constant conflict. Now we know that we are in constant conflict with the entire world, for the entire history of the Jewish nation. But we have to know that the one who lead this, who lead the opposition against what we represent, is Esav. And more in focus among Esav, it's Amalek. So understanding the beginning, the roots, is very important to get the big picture, that if you understand the major points, you could understand a lot of things in the history. Analyzing right what happened to us and what's happening to us and where it's going. So let's see the first few psukim of this week parasha, and there are more questions that we're going to address on the way. ואלה תולדות יצחק בן אברהם, אברהם הוליד את יצחק. ויהי יצחק בן 40 שנה בקחתו את רבקה בת בתואל הארמי מפדן ארם, אחות לבן הארמי לא לאישה. So the parasha started with Yitzchak. He is the second out of the three fathers of the Jewish nation, and technically he was 40 years old when he married Rivka. And in the beginning of their marriage, Rivka was not able to become pregnant. So they both prayed, davened to Hashem. And it's mentioned over here, ויעתר יצחק להשם לנוכח אשתו כי עקרה היא, ויעתר לו השם, ותער רבקה אשתו. This pregnancy came after praying, after asking, after requesting specially from Hashem to give them ability to have kids. Now, here's the story. Here's the story of the pregnancy. After she started her pregnancy, she felt this. ויתרוצצו הבנים בקרבה ותאמר אם כן למה זה אנוכי ותלך לדרוש את השם. She felt uncomfortable with this pregnancy because the two fetus that were there was restless. ויתרוצצו הבנים בקרבה. They were restless, meaning they were wrestling with each other. It was a conflict there between those two fetus. She understood that it's not just a problem with the pregnancy. There is something more than that. Therefore, it says, "Vatelech lidrosh et Hashem." She wants to understand it, and she asked Hashem himself, "What's going on?" Vayomer Hashem la. So the Midrash bring, what do you mean she went to ask Hashem? Well, she got an open line to Hashem. So she went, the Midrash says, to the Beit HaMidrash of Shem ve'Ever. And Shem, at the time, was Kohen Le'el Elyon, and he was a Navi, and she asked through him. And that was the message. Vayomer Hashem la, שני גויים בבטנך ושני לאומים ממאייך ייפרדו ולאום מלאום יאמץ ורב יעבוד צעיר. What are you feeling is real? But it's just the beginning of something bigger that's going to go from here. two nations will come from those two kids that you're going to have. And be aware of the word yiparedu. They are brothers. More than that, they are twins, which is the highest similarity that you could get between two people. But they're going to be separated. Shnei le'umim mime'ayich yiparedu. And of course, when they will become fathers of nations, those nations will be separated, meaning when, like Avraham Avinu says to Lot, hiparedna me'alai, im ha'smol ve'emina ve'im ha'yamin va'asmeila, if you go to this side, I'm going to just the opposite. So here we have information that Hashem gave her, that these two nations will go to completely different directions. And even though they will represent two different things, they will be always in constant conflict, that one of the nation will want to rule over the other. And then another three words, Verav Ya'avot Tza'ir. At the end of this long conflict, at the end of it, that will be the results, that the oldest will be under the youngest, meaning the youngest is going to win at the end in this particular thing. Who is above who? Okay, let's stop right over here and try to understand this. Yitzchak was the son of Avraham, and Avraham made a big revolution in the world by making the name of Hashem known all over, that Hashem is the creator of the universe and He is one. So Avram, all his life, dedicated to publicize, make everyone known this truth. The highest challenge that Hashem make Avraham go through was Nisayon HaAkedah, the test of the Akedat Yitzchak, when he was asked by Hashem to sacrifice his son, and he passed it. He was willing to do it. Hashem stopped him right before, and he told him, okay, you passed the test. And in this test was also Yitzchak involved. Yitzchak was the one who was supposed to be sacrificed. Now Yitzchak is continuing Avraham when it was not easy, because according to the laws of nature, Yitzchak could not come to this world. It was also after Hashem changed the laws of nature and made Avraham and Sarah be able to bring Yitzchak to the world. And then Yitzchak could not have babies, as we saw in the beginning of the Parashat. ויתר יצחק להשם כי לנוכח אשתו כי עקרה היא. You could see that there are difficulties with Avram to bring to the world Yitzchak, and for Yitzchak to bring to the world Yaakov. Big things are not going easy. Now, here's the story. If Yitzchak was the father of Yaakov only, everything would be smooth. But no, with Yaakov, as a twin brother, is Esav. So if you'll go just behind the scene a little bit to understand deeper what's going on. To understand this, let's go to, it will apparently seems that we're going to do to something completely else, but you'll see the connection soon. We have to go back to the creation, to the when Hashem created the world. So I'll say it in brief. Hopefully it will be enough. When Hashem created the world, the creation was to create something that was not there before. This is the meaning of the word bria. Bria is always yesh me'ayin. Yesh me'ayin meaning to make something from completely nothing. So that was a creation. Bereshit bara Elokim. What Hashem created? He created the world, the universe, which is the creation, which called in Hebrew olam, bri'at ha'olam, ריבונו של עולם. בורא עולם. The word olam comes from the root ayin lamed mem, which is leha'alim, to hide, to conceal. So, according to this, when Hashem created the world, in Hebrew, B'ri'at ha'olam, He created concealment. He created something that hidden. What is the meaning of this? The purpose of the creation, and again, I'm going to say just in brief. The purpose of the creation is to create Adam. From all the people, the creatures in the world, the major creature is Adam, a man. The entire thing was created for creating Adam, for creating the man. Now, creating Adam is to create a creature that will create himself through the free will. Free will is choosing between two things, but not just between two things, two opposite things, completely opposite. This is a significant choice. You know, when someone asks you, what are you going to drink, tea or coffee, hot or cold, it's not significant. Because the two things are in the same category. They're drinks. And you need to drink. So you're not choosing. You're preferring. You prefer cold or hot. You prefer to drink now or in 5 minutes or in 10 minutes or in an hour. But it's not in your choice to drink. You must drink in order to exist. So you have preference what to drink and when, but you cannot choose. That's not a significant choice. Significant choice is between two complete opposite things. Therefore, Hashem created Adam as a combination between a body and a soul. And the choices are between the interest of the body or the interest of the souls. And those are two. Here is the field for the free choice. Let me give you an example. You have to drink. You have to eat. You have to in order to exist. It's not in your choice. But you could have a choice to eat, let's say as a Jew, kosher or not kosher. Now, if you eat, you fulfill the interest of the body. If you eat kosher, the interest of the body goes along with the interest of the soul. But if you're very, very hungry and the body wants to eat right now, you're not going to die. But if you're going to die, is to pikuach nefesh. So when your life in threat is different. But I'm talking about you have the ability not to eat now, be a little bit hungry, then go home and have, let's say, something kosher. But now you have food, it's not kosher. So your body said, I don't care, I'm hungry now, I want to eat. The soul come in to the picture and makes problems. What do you mean? It's not kosher, you cannot eat it. And there is an inner conflict between two representatives of myself. The representative of the body and the representative of the soul. Here is the choice. I could give up to the body and say, forget about it. It's not kosher, let's eat it. But I could say, no. It's important for me to do my values, and according to the Torah as Jew, I'm obligated to eat kosher. Therefore, I'm not going to eat now. I'll wait a few minutes, few hours, go get kosher food. See, this is a significant conflict, a significant choice. Now, when Hashem created the world, as we said, He created olam. Olam is a concealment. So here we should just go a little bit and mention a few things that mentioned in the Kabbalah. In order to create ability to choose, choice or dilemma could be only when the two sides looks equal. Looks. Now, significant choice, we said, it's between two opposite things. And actually, it's between the positive and the negative. How the negative could be equal to the positive? The positive is positive, the negative is bad, is wrong. So what do you mean it should look equivalent? Here comes the power that Hashem gave when he created the negative in the world. In the Kabbalah it's called the Sitra Achra, the other side. The other side is the other side of the truth, the other side of the what's right. So in order to make the free will possible, they have to look at least equal. Because if it will be obvious that the positive is so much more than the negative, no one will choose the negative. Right? So Hashem has to give the negative power to sell itself. And Hashem gave it power. The power is the power of the temptation. So the negative could sell itself by saying to the person, yeah, I know you think I'm wrong, but it's worth for you to choose me. You know why? You're going to have a pleasure out of it. You're going to have fun. So even though it's not ultimately good, but it's yummy. It's pleasurable. And here's the choice. And now a human being is standing in front of those two choices. One is the positive, the truth, the right. The other is the negative, but in many cases when people have to choose between two sides, they knew exactly that it's not right. Why are they choosing it anyways? Because they do not want or do not able to stand in front of the temptation. So the temptation has a lot of power to pull you or push you to choose to do something that you yourself know that it's not the right thing to do. Okay, how is all of this connected to what we're trying to learn today? If we'll go to the history, we'll find out that the first time that a man has stand in front of the ability to choose, he chose and he chose wrong. Hashem told him, don't eat from the tree of knowledge to differentiate between good and evil, and he did it. Hashem told him, don't do it, and he did it. So he chose wrong. Why did he do it? It says in the Torah itself. The Torah explains. Meaning, it was a desire involved, and the desire is a function of the physical, and therefore Adam and Chava choose to go after their desires and now not after their mind, and that was the cause of the first sin. Now, because it was the first one ever made by a man, it has a huge, tremendous impact on what's going to happen from now on. And we saw that most of the people, the descendants of Adam HaRishon, continue this path, choosing the evil for the interest of the physical. For example, the first murder. The sons of Adam and Chava killed each other. I mean, Cain killed Hevel. Why? Because of jealousy, which is also a form of desire for the ego of Cain. Later on, the Torah told us that in the third generation, as uchal likro b'shem Hashem, they started to deny God because God is bothering or interfering me going after my desires. So they start to worship idols, and it went down, 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 down to the 10th generation when everyone became corrupted, going only after their interest without any moral. Ki yishchit kol basar et darko al haaretz, and then Hashem perished them by the flood. And we saw that the path that they took was the wrong path. Noach was the only tzaddik at the time of the flood. And from Noach started the human history again. Noach was the second father of the human race. So after the Mabul, the flood was over. There is a new chance, but the result was not good. Again, people choose to do wrong. 10 generations it took until they built the Tower of Babylon. Again, saying Hashem, we will take care of ourselves. We are not interested in you and in your plans. And Hashem prevent them from finishing the project by mixing their languages and spread them all over the world. And at this very time lived Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu was the 20 generation from Adam, 10 generations from Adam to Noach, 10 generations from Noach to Avraham. Now Avraham made the revolution that we spoke about in the beginning, and he told everyone, listen, you're wrong, you're wrong. There is one truth, there is one God. We have to do what He wants. He is the master of the universe. That was Avraham. But his ideas were not popular. He called in the Torah Avraham Ivri, and the Midrash says why he was called Avraham Ivri, not just because technically he came from the other side of the river, or he was a descendant of Shem ve'ever. The real thing was that he was alone. He was me'ever echad. He was from one side, and the entire world was in the other side. At the age of 100, Hashem gave him Yitzchak. And now we're dealing with the pregnancy when that from it Yaakov Avinu will be born. So we have here Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And Avraham was the one who fight for the truth. Not just in his generation, but he actually was in conflict with all the people that was in the former 20 generations. And he's trying to get people back to the real reality, to the real truth. Avraham Avinu himself has more than one kid. He has Ishmael, as we know, we learned this in the last few parashiot. And he has Bnei Keturah. He has Bnei Keturah, we learned it at last week parasha, at the end of Parashat Chayei Sarah. So we have more children, aside from Yitzchak. But they were not continuing his path. ויתן אברהם את כל אשר לו ליצחק ולבני הפילגשים אשר לאברהם, he sent them away. So Yitzchak is the one to continue. Now we have to know that it's true that Avraham was the father of Ishmael, and he was the father also of Bnei Keturah. But Yitzchak was his only child from Sarah. So Avraham and Sarah has only one child. And this child was the one that Hashem promised Avraham Avinu, וגם וברכתי אותה את שרה וגם נתתי לך ממנה בן. I'll bless her, I'll bless Sarah, and I'll give you a son from her, and I will make a covenant with him. Okay, but now we're going to the next generation. As we learned here in the beginning of Parashat Toldot, Yitzchak and Rivka were not able to bring children to the world. They prayed to Hashem, and Hashem gave them a pregnancy. In this pregnancy, there are two fidas, two kids, two children. And the Torah says that Hashem told Rivka, the mother of Yaakov and Esav, that they're going to be separated. Meaning in advance it says that even though they are twins, not both of them will continue what Avraham and Yitzchak started. They'll be separated. And because the separation is also to the extreme sides, only one of them will continue the revolution of Avraham and Yitzchak, and the other one will not just not join him, will not just be neutral, he will be against it. And this is amazing. From the seeds of Avraham and Yitzchak comes Esav, that's going to be completely against everything. Question is why? So the Kabbalah says the following, and this is very deep, and it's very important to understand. The difference between, let's go back to the creation. The difference between the good and the evil is the fact that the evil was created only to be an alternative to the truth in order to make the free will possible. So, when Hashem created the evil, Hashem himself created the evil. God created the evil in order to have, to make the free will, as we said, possible. So we need alternative to the truth. The truth should not be created because it was there always. The truth is Hashem himself. V'Hashem Elokim emet. So in the creation of the world, Hashem created the negative, not the positive. The positive was there before. The positive, the truth, the good, the ultimate good is Hashem. And it was before the creation. When Hashem created the world, what was needed is to create alternative to the good. So Hashem created the evil. So the evil has a beginning point. And therefore, the evil has also an end point. Because the evil was created only in order to have an alternative to the truth, when the project will be done to make the free will possible, the free will is not a purpose by itself. It's just a tool for a human being to build himself through choosing. But after he will build himself, then will be the impact of what you build. That will be forever. But the working point, the building, is temporary. Therefore, you have to know, the same way there is a beginning point to the evil in order to have a free will, there is an end point to it. When it's going to happen? At the end of days. The world was created for a certain amount of time. And after this certain amount of time, that will be, during this time will be free will be no more free will. How will not be any more free will? When the evil will be destroyed. And again, it will be only the good that's going to left. Then will be no more free will. Now, what we learn from this, if we'll summarize this, that the good were there always and will be always, the absolute good, and the evil is temporary. Now another thing that we have to know, that the temporary, the existence of the temporary compared to the existence of the permanent is not considered existence. And actually, because the evil was created only to give meaning to the good from the man's point of view, because, let me explain this. If it was no evil, only good, and Hashem will create, let's say, a man, all people in the world will be good. But they will not be good. I mean, they will be good, but they will not be people. They will be robots. The difference between a robot and a person, that the robot is programmed. He doesn't do anything. If the only way, or the only option will be good, everyone will be good, but they didn't do anything for this. They were reprogrammed to be good. Hashem didn't want to create good people. He could do it. Hashem wanted to create people who will want to be good, meaning that they will make themselves good. That's possible only if there is alternative to the good, and then they will choose, and if they choose right, they will make themselves good. So differentiate between a passive good to an active good. Passive good, that you do nothing. You're good because there is no other option. If there is other option, and there is a temptation, and then you fight it in order to be good, you made yourself good. So, the entire creation of the evil was to make the good significant by the people who will choose the good. Therefore, it says in the Kabbalah, the evil by itself has no existence. It's there only to support the good. So in the words of the Kabbalah, it says that the evil yonek et hachayut shelo, he get his ability to exist from the good. From the good. Without the good, he has no ability to exist. Now, look what happened. Adam HaRishon, the first man, choose to adopt the evil. And then his descendants until Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu was the one who, from the very... his society, all of it, was completely there, captured by the evil, and he from there chose to get out and adopt the good. So Hashem told him, and that was the first separation. So you have to know, according to, in the Kabbalah, it says that Chet Adam HaRishon, the sin of Adam HaRishon, took the good and make it drowned in the evil. It's called ניצוצות הקדושה טבעו בתוך קליפות הטומאה. Klipa is the peel, a peel of a fruit. So the peel is around. And the peel actually is around, and in a way that it's surrounding the good from all sides in order to make it grow. But here, it's captured it and not let it come out. Avraham Avinu came out forcefully. He forced himself to come out of this, of the capture of the evil. But he was alone. So he went out, and Hashem told him, "Lech lecha me'artzecha el haaretz asher areka. Lech lecha me'artzecha mimoladetcha mibet avicha. Leave everything behind, separate completely from them, go to where I'll tell you where to go." So that was the first separation, the first beginning of fixing what messed up by Chet Adam HaRishon was when Hashem says to Avraham Avinu, separate from them. Lech lecha me'artzecha. That was the first separation. The hard core of the evil were still connected to Avraham Avinu because of the background of his family. So even when Avraham Avinu separated, some of the evil was still in him. It separated in the next generation when Sarah told Avraham, "Garesh et ha'ama azot ve'et bna." And he was, in the beginning, Avraham himself upset, but Hashem told him, "She's right. Do whatever she told you. Yitzchak is the one to continue. Ishmael has to go." So that was the second separation. After Avraham was separated from his people, from Me'artzecha mimoladetcha mibet avicha, now among his children, Hashem told him to listen to Sarah to separate Ishmael from Yitzchak. And later on, when he took another wife, or it's the same wife according to the Midrash, and he has more sons from Bnei Keturah, it's also said, without Hashem telling him, he got it already. ויתן אברהם את כל אשר לו ליצחק, ולבני הפילגשים אשר לאברהם נתן מתנות וישלחם. He separated them from Yitzchak. So we find out that among the children of Abraham, only one continued and the rest separated. He separated them, they are not belong. The Bnei Keturah, 6 children, and Ishmael, they are not belong. But here comes the big story. The big story over here is this pregnancy in the beginning of Parashat Toldot, that we have here twins that come from Yitzchak and Rivka. Because the children of Abraham, as we mentioned more than once, was not from Sarah. The children that was separated. That was Ishmael from Hagar and Bnei Keturah from Keturah. So from Abraham and Sarah came only Yitzchak. But we find out over here that there is a need for another separation. And that actually what Hashem says to Rivka, there is a necessity to do another separation between your kids, your children, the twins one. The pregnancy. Now, okay, let's see. They were in conflict during the entire pregnancy, and let's see what happened when it's done. Comes the days after the 9 months, delivery day. So what happened in the delivery day? Just a minute. That's what happened. ויצא הראשון אדמוני כולו כעדרת שיער ויקראו את שמו עשיו, ואחרי כן יצא אחיו וידו אוחזת בעקב עשיו ויקרא את שמו יעקב. So in the pregnancy, they were in constant conflict during the 9 months. And as we could understand it from what it says before, that when Hashem reports Rivka that this is just the beginning of what's going to happen in the history. In the history, the two nations will be trying to be each one above the other, rule the other. Le'omi le'omi ematz. So actually that's what happened in the pregnancy. They were fighting. We'll see what was the fighting later. They were fighting. Now, a crucial point is the end of the pregnancy. Now they're going to come out. And one must be the firstborn. So it was a conflict even at the time of the delivery between both of them. Because see, ויצא הראשון אדמוני כולו כעדרת שיער, ואחרי כן יצא אחיו וידו אוחזת בעקב עשיו. Very, very funny. Why? Why you hold him in his heel? Because they were fighting who is coming out first. And Esav popped out, but Yaakov didn't give up. He held him in his heel and tried to put him back in order to come with first. But he lost. Therefore, his name is Yaakov, because it's just describing what happened, that he lost in the battle of who is going to be born first. So the first one was Esav. Now the Torah describes Esav as a red hair guy. And I'm on purpose not saying red head, because it was not just the head. It says kulo ke'aderet שיער. Kulo, from the toes to the head, was hairy red hair. ויקראו את שמו עשיו, and therefore his name is Esav. Now the name of a person, the real name of a person, and here we're talking about Rivka and Yitzchak that called him this way. ויקראו את שמו עשיו. The word Esav, it comes from the Hebrew word of la'asot, asiyah, done, to do. So it's not usual that babies will be hairy in day one. You know, if it's a boy, male tend to be hairy more than ladies, but it comes later on, after the age of 13, 14, 15. In the day one, he was hairy. So he looked like done, like he's done already. Therefore, his name is Esav. It's hinted also to the character of the person. He is a practical person, that his power in his character is in his hands. He's done. ואחרי כן יצא אחיו וידו אוחזת בעקב עשיו ויקרא שמו יעקב. It's very interesting that here it's not in plural, not ויקראו like here, ויקראו שמו עשיו, ויקרא. But we're not going to go to it now, just be aware of it. ויצחק בן 60 שנה בלדת אותם. Okay, he was 40 when he married Rivka, now he's 60 when those Yaakov and Esav, his children, was born. Okay, ויגדלו הנערים. They grew up. ויהי עשיו איש יודע ציד איש שדה. He was a hunter, Esav, and it's fit his character because he is a Dan, his power is in his hands. So he is a hunter, he is going to the field, and his brother Yaakov, ish tam yoshev ohalim. Tam meaning complete. Yoshev ohalim is sitting, and he's more in the strongest side of his character is the intellectual. He's learning. He's not. His brother is practical. He is more intellectual. Yoshev ohalim, it says in plural, ohalim, 2 tents at least, not Yoshev ohel, Yoshev ohalim. So here in the Pshat, there is a hint for the deepest information that in the Kabbalah, Yoshev ohalim, Yaakov and Esav were the grandson of Avraham Avinu and the children of Yitzchak. Avraham, as you know, if you know, is his main thing in his character is the chesed, is giving without any calculation, giving, complete giving. You know, he was the one who was looking to host the guest that he never knew, as mentioned in the beginning of Parashat Vayera. He's a chesed. Yitzchak is pachad, Yitzchak is gvura, is din, is more in the judgment. He expressing the judgment of Hashem. Yaakov was complete. Tam is complete. He was sitting on the tents of Avraham and Yitzchak, meaning he took from Avraham the chesed and from Yitzchak the gvura, and the right combination of it create rachamim, which is Yaakov. Yoshev ohalim. But there is another thing that explains the ohalim. We need still to explain be aware of the word ish. ויהי עשיו איש יודע ציד איש שדה. ויעקב איש תם. So if you compare those two people, two anashim, so there is ish sadeh, which is Esav, and there is ish tam, which is Yaakov. If tam is a complete, right, it means that ish sadeh is not complete. This is the description. Now the depthings of this is the following. Let's go back to the first pasuk in the Torah. Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Those are the two dimensions in the creation. Shamayim is the spiritual dimension, Aretz is the physical dimension. Esav choose one of them, the Aretz. Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, the physical. That's why he was Ish Sadeh. He was identified with the field, which is the physical. Yaakov was Ish Tam. Ish Tam meaning complete. He is not ignoring the Shamayim. He is not Ish Shamayim. He is Ish Tam, which is taking the Shamayim and the Aretz and relate to both of them. They both has room in his philosophy. That's what will make him complete. Now, let's go back to Esav in order to understand the contrast. When it says that Esav is Ish Sadeh, it means that he is belong or emphasize the physical by ignoring the spiritual. It's not that he was neutral to the spiritual. He said, no, out of the entire thing, this is the reality. This is my reality. This is the reality, the physical. The spiritual is not, has no room, the spiritual. And that was the conflict. So the conflict deeply between Yaakov and Esav was not just, that two fetus fight with each other in the womb. Or later on, two people who have personal things against each other, and you could take to add to this the story about the Nazid Adashim and everything. It's not a conflict between just two fetus, two people, two personalities, or two nations, as it say, uleomi leomi ematz. What is behind the entire things? What is the conflict? The root of the conflict. The root of the conflict is philosophy about how to relate to the world, what reality is. Esav says, anything that's not tangible by my senses, 5 senses, is not real. It's an illusion. It's nothing. It's not there. Yaakov knew that there is something that's not physically tangible, but it's there, which is the Shamayim. Shamayim comes from the word Sham, there. It's far away, but it's actually the real reality, that the manifestation of it is the physical. So those are the two philosophies that is in crush, and about this they actually fought. The fight was between this, and actually this is the purpose of the creation, as we mentioned before. Hashem created the evil in order to be alternative to the good, in order for the good to be significant when we choose it, right? So Yaakov and Esav, and the nation that will come out of them, represent this particular thing. And as I said in the beginning of this show, it's very important for us to understand this, because many Jews have no idea what Judaism is all about. And they bother by why people hate us, why the nations of the world, why we are so not popular. So you have to understand, anti-Semitism, the reason of the anti-Semitism is not who you are and what you do. It is what you represent. And you represent, even if you're not behaving according. We Jews represent Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. We represent God, as Hashem told us in Ma'amad Har Sinai, V'atem tiyu li mamlechet kohanim v'goy kadosh. And the rest of the nations of the world, as it was at the time of Avraham Avinu, he was alone. Avraham HaIvri. He was in one side and the entire world was in the other side. And so it was a complete, from wall to wall coalition against Avraham Avinu at the time. And this is the case during the history. Even among those people think they are our friends. Okay, you have to judge it long term, not in particular time in the history. But you have to know that we represent something that no one is accepting. Even our quote friends. We have to understand it in order to feel better about what's going on. I always give this as an example, and I'll say it even now. Actually, our time is up almost. So, again, if you look long term, you will see that no one like us during the history from all the nations of the world. And in order to emphasize this, I want to just mention a common mistake that's happening today. See, in the world of today, we have, part of the nation, important part of the nation, of the Jewish nation is in Eretz Israel now, in the land of Israel. And over there, there is a conflict, well-known conflict between us and the Arabs, right? About the land of Israel. It seems like most of the world is with the Arabs. Go to the United Nations, you'll see. Is with them. About this particular thing, but this particular thing is, the Arab-Israeli conflict is just a small part of a bigger picture. If you will go look for your friends, who are the friends of the Jewish nation in this issue of the Arab-Israeli conflict about the land of Israel, you'll find out that there are the evangelists, right, that support Israel. Sometimes even more than the Israelis themselves. Why did they do that? Why are they supporting us so much? Because of the Bible, right? They believe in the Bible, and the Bible it says that Hashem gave this land to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, not Ishmael. But again, don't look about today. The Arab-Israeli conflict in the magnitude that it is today, let's say it's since the establishment of the State of Israel, about 70 years ago. The relationship between us and the world started long time ago. And if you take the Christianity, the Christians, the Christians has very funny and interesting relations with the Jews. I'm talking from the beginning of Christianity. First of all, they agree that their God is Jewish. They agree. They agree that we are the chosen people. Every Christian who knows what Christianity is has to admit that God revealed himself to us, to the Jewish people. They believe in Sefer Shemot, they believe in Exodus. It speaks over there that Hashem appear and give the Ten Commandments and the entire Torah to the Jewish nation. So therefore we are the chosen people. It didn't bother them, and I'm not talking about today, during the history, to hate us, to murder us, to relate to us in the worst way to the worst enemies. Just take the Inquisition, for example. So it's a mixed things from their point of view. If the Jews are the chosen people, respect them. How come you hated them? Anti-Semitism, you have to know, was fueled big time by Christianity for 2,000 years. Right now, people have an illusion. You know, the evangelists today are with us in this particular conflict with the Arabs. We have long memory, and we should, if we do not want to fool ourselves. They have an agenda. The thing is that we, the Jews, are like the best student in the class. Who loves them? The teachers. Who hate them? Who hate the good students? The entire classmates. Why? Because the teacher will say if the teacher will demand from the rest, if he could, you could also. The meaning of this is the following. Christians are proud or support or, I don't know, they appreciate the Ten Commandments, right? Ten Commandments. I never understood what Christian has to do with the Ten Commandments. By the way, from the Torah you have to understand that the Goyim, not just the Christians, all the nations of the world, obligated to 7 commandments only, and they are not necessarily in the 10 commandments. There is something called Sheva Mitzvot Bnei Noach, 7 mitzvahs of Noah. That what they obligated. But Christians took for themselves the Ten Commandments as spiritual, godly values. I never understood this, and I asked few Christians, and they do not know what to say about it. I asked them, what are you talking about? What Ten Commandments? How any Christian person, non-Jew, relate to the Ten Commandments? Could you explain to me the first one? I'm God who took you out of Egypt. Any Christian was in Egypt, and God take them out of Egypt? So what are you talking about? What do you mean, Anochi Hashem Elokecha? It's not related to you. Hashem is not talking to you. Don't interfere. Hashem talked to the Jewish people. Take the second one. לא יהיה לך אלוהים אחרים על פניי. לא תעשה לך פסל. Clearly it says, don't do statues. How come all your church is full of statues? And you believe in the Ten Commandments? זכור את יום השבת לקדשו. You have to keep the seventh day of... How do you keep it? So it's a bunch of nonsense. There is nothing in it. I mean, for sure, not 10. For sure, not 10. But there are things that mention in the Ten Commandments that really belongs to them, not because they're Christian, but because they've been in Noach. לא תרצח, don't kill. Don't steal. It's part of the 7 mitzvot b'nei Noach, right? So they agree, according to their wrong philosophy, that we are the chosen people. God talked to us and gave us those amazing values that they believe in. Don't kill, don't steal, right? If we are the chosen people, how come you hate us? How come you murder us during the history? You have 2,000 years of going after the Jews. As I said, we are like the best student in the class that the teacher loves, but the other student hates. Why? Because this student is showing that he could do. So the teacher says to the others, if he could, you could too, right? And they feel uncomfortable. Why? Because they do not want to make the effort to do like the best student. But they could not deny that this is the right thing to do, and this guy doing the right thing. But the fact that he's doing it required us to be up to him. We do not want it. That's why we have the mixed feelings. In one side, in one hand, chosen people, God talked to them, they are the nation of God. But it doesn't prevent us from hating them. Now, according to the Kabbalah, you have to know, according to the Gemara, and it's deep in the Kabbalah also, the spiritual power behind Esav is actually, let me just make a few connections in order to give you the picture. It says over here in the story of the Nazid, ויזד יעקב נזיד, ויבוא עשיו מן השדה והוא עייף, and, I don't have it here. I'll tell it to you by heart. It's in this week's Parashat. Esav was a hunter. He came one day in the morning, and at the end of the day, after he was all day in the field hunting, he came hungry and tired, and he saw his brother Yaakov making for himself a soup of red soup. So he came to him and asked him, give it to me. Hal itanina. So it was a whole deal over there. You want me to sell it to you? What do you want to give in advance? Okay, whatever. So it says over there the following. Hal itanina, that Esav asked Yaakov. When he asked him, he said, Hal itanina min ha'adoma adoma ze. Give me from this red stuff. Al ken karash mo Edom. Therefore, his name was Edom. Now, it's a big thing what the Torah mentioned over here. What do you mean? How significant is it? It is. So, he was called Edom, he was called, what's the meaning? Hashem says to Rivka, Shnei goyim bevitnechu, shnei le'umim mime'ayich yiparedu. 2 nations going to come out of this pregnancy. we know clearly who is one of the nations. The nation that came from Yaakov, which is Israel, the Jews. But what is the nation that came from Esav? Esav was a father of few nations that comes out from it. So here is the hint. Al ken kara shmo Edom. We know in the history the Edomites came from Esav. Now, people should know the following. Edom is a place that was at the time of the Avot, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, in the Middle East, near the land of Israel of today, in the other side of the Dead Sea, from the south down, in the location where today is Jordan. Today is Jordan, from the south of the Dead Sea down. This is a place that's called Edom. It was a big event in the history at the time of the Assyrians, when Shalmaneser Melech Ashur, Shalmaneser the king of Assyria, and after him Sancheriv, they came and they conquered the entire place, the entire Middle East, and they make people mixed with each other. All the nations got mixed with each other. And since then, they were going from place to place, and now all the nations of the world, they mixed with each other. If you go to our sources in the Talmud, in the Gemara, you'll find out that our sages called the Romans Edomites. It's called Galut Edom. The Romans are in Europe, in Rome, right? And they were the one who destroyed the second temple and put us in exile. How come our sages make them relate to Edom? Edom is in the Middle East, not in Rome, because a few hundred years before was this events that I spoke about the Assyrians that mixed up everyone. So we know, and there are ways to prove it, that was a big influence in Rome in the beginning, when Rome started to become a superpower. Later on, the Romans not just destroyed the second temple, not just put the Jewish nation in exile, they did something very, very significant. They adopt in Rome the idea of Jesus. Right? Where's the Vatican? Over there. Who gave him a power? Who brought Christianity to Europe? The Caesar Constantine, which was Rome. So we see that the conflict between Esav, Edom, which is Edom, to Yaakov, continued during the history. And this is the real conflict between Judaism and Christianity. This is Yaakov and Esav. This is Edom versus the original Judaism. And you find out in this week's parasha that Esav decided, he was very angry about his brother, about the soup, the lentil, the Nazid Adashim, and later on about the fact that he took the blessing from Yitzchak instead of him. He decided, it says in the parasha, where I see it, he said, in chapter 27, verse 41, ויסתום עשיו את יעקב על הברכה אשר ברכו אביו, ויאמר עשיו בליבו, יקרבו ימי אבל אביו, והרגה את יעקב אחי. He gets a strategic decision in his heart. ויאמר עשיו בליבו. And we have to be really careful to take this seriously, because it's not over. It's not over. It is a strategic decision to eliminate Yaakov. Aharga et Yaakov achi. I'm going to kill him. And we see in the history that he tried to do it a few times. To eliminate Yaakov. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the great Tana, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the one who wrote the first books in the Kabbalah, the Zohar, he said, not in the Zohar, he said that in the Sifri, which is a Baraita on the Torah. Amar Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, הלכה היא בידוע שעשיו שונא ליעקב. It's halacha, meaning there is no way to argue with this. He hates Yaakov and he's still hating him. Let me just remind you, in the history, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was the disciple of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva was killed, murdered in a very cruel way by the Romans. So he said, it's still there. It's still there, and it's not over, even though we have 1800 years from our time to the time of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Go to the history, you'll see what happened after. Inquisition, the Holocaust, and until today, the Jews are hated, and the one who led this are not the Christians. You know what? Very interesting. The Christians today, as I mentioned before, the evangelists, it seems like they're our friends today, at least against the Palestinians or the Arabs. But don't go to illusion. They have their agenda. They still thinking that we go into hell as Jews because we do not accept Jesus. If we accept Jesus, maybe it will change. And we will not. We are not going to accept Jesus because it's all baloney. It's all nonsense. And therefore, it's just technically, temporarily, that they are not killing us. But their philosophy and our philosophy are completely in opposite ways. If we're right, they're wrong. If they're wrong, they're right, we're wrong. And we know that we're right. So they're wrong. Anyways, to understand those things, when you read this week Parsha again next Shabbat, Parashat Toldot, you have to know what big things mentioned in this amazing prophecy that God gave to Rivka. Shnei goyim bevitnech, u'shnei le'umim mime'ayich yiparedu. Two nations going to be separated from your womb. U'le'om mi'le'om ye'ematz. They will be in constant fight and conflict. And it will go on and on and on to the end of days. We say that we're speaking here about Esav, but Esav has a grandson called Amalek. And Amalek is the one that Hashem says that he, Hashem himself, God himself, has a fight with Amalek. Milchama LaHashem ba'Amalek midor dor. For all the generations. Until when? Until the day, at the end of days, which is very soon, that the prophet Zechariah said about it. Ve'alu moshi'im be'ar Tzion, lishpot et har Esav, והיה השם למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה השם אחד ושמו אחד. Let me translate it. Will be two Moshi'im, plural, two savers that will come to a place called Har Tzion. Lishpot et Har Esav. So Har Tzion, maybe we know what is it. What is Har Esav? There is any Har, any mountain called the mountain of Esav? So we have to understand what those mountains represent. There are two mountains in the world, only two. Only two mountains. What is a mountain? When you have a flat land, and then all of a sudden there is a mountain, the mountain is very obvious. There are two mountains like this, and they're against each other. One of them called Har Tzion. What is Har Tzion? Har Tzion, about it, it says, the famous pasuk in Yeshayahu, Ki mitzion tetzei Torah udvar Hashem Yerushalayim. From the Mount of Tzion comes the Torah and the words of God. Against this Har, the mountain of Tzion, there is a fake mountain of Esav. Esav will claim that the Torah will come from his mountain, not from the mountain of Tzion. And that's what they said. That, yeah, chosen people, they used to be. Now God threw them out because they were stubborn. And now there is a new thing. And this new thing is the Torah the philosophy that comes from Har Esav. At the end of days will be two saviors. The Kabbalah says that it's Mashiach ben David and Mashiach ben Yosef. That will go up to Har Zion. And from Har Zion they will judge the Har Esav. And then what's going to happen? והיה השם למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה השם אחד, one, not Trinity, one God. השם אחד ושמו אחד. What is ושמו אחד? What do you mean ושמו אחד? If you go back to the first מלחמה of Amalek, ויבוא עמלק וילחם עם ישראל ברפידים, when they went out of Egypt, it says that God swore, כי יד על כס ים מלחמה להשם בעמלק. He put his hand like swearing on כיסא הכבוד, על כס ים, meaning on the holy throne. And he swore, מלחמה להשם בעמלק, כי יד על כס ים. So throne should be written kaf samech aleph. The aleph is missing. Kes. The name of Hashem are 4 letters. Yud, after that Hey, after that Vav, after that Hey. Out of the 4, only 2 letters are there. Ki yad al kes ya, only Yud and Hey. Look at Rashi. Rashi brings the Midrash over there in Sefer Shmot on the spot. He said, En hakiseh shalem, ve'en Hashem shalem, ad sheyichle zar'o shel Amalek min ha'olam. The kiseh, the throne is missing, and the name of Hashem is missing too, the Vav and the Hey, until what? Until Amalek will be eliminated completely. But that's not going to happen now. It says, Milchama Hashem midor dor. So Amalek will still exist during the history until the last moment. And then, by Mashiach, then Amalek will be destroyed. And then what will happen? The Hey and the Vav and the Hey that's missing from Shem Hashem will come back. And this is the meaning, Bayom Hu Hashem Echad, again, one, an absolute one without any additions, right? Ushmo Echad, Yud Kei Vav Kei. Just to finish with the following, which is practical, because we talk a lot about philosophy. Practically, if you want to do a mitzvah, that will enhance it. The Gemara in Masechet Brachot says that anyone who go to shul, go to Bet Knesset, and hear Kaddish, hear the Kaddish, and says, Amen Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevorach, it's a tremendous thing just to say those words, Amen Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevorach Leolam Ulolmei Olmaya. The Gemara says that anyone who said it Bechol Kocho, says Rashi, in all his intention, not screaming it, but understanding it, and say it with all his might, קוראים לו גזר דין של 70 שנה. Even if he has 70 years that obligated him to get big punishments, this will be torn because he said, Amen Yashmei Rabba. What is the power of this? So there is a lot of it, but just to summarize the thing that we said over here, Tosfot brings something amazing about this. Amen Yehei Shmei Rabba. Take the word Shmei. How do you write it? Shin, Mem, Yud, Hey. Shemei. I don't know, in different printing, I saw it different, but that way it should be. Shemei, Shin, Mem, Yud, Hey. Says Tosfot, Shemei, take the 4 letters Shemei and separate them to 2. Shem and Yud, Hey. Amen Yehei Shmei Rabba, meaning the name of Hashem is Yud Kei Vav Kei. But until Amalek will be eliminated, this name is not full. It's only Yud and Hey. And we're striving to the day that the Vav and the Hey will come back. That's what we're wishing. Amen Yehei Shem Yud Hey Rabba, bigger, with the Vav and the Hey. And literally what we mean, that the lie will be eliminated from the world and the absolute truth will be revealed. So that's what we could say about this week Parsha. Thank you for listening, and that will be it for now.
Yeah.